All right, hello and welcome to today's webinar for ResNexus, which is what's new in 2025. I'm excited to go over this webinar. My name is Nathan Mayfield. I'm Vice President of Strategic Partnerships. I also have Casey Gibson on with me, and she's our Director of Development. And we're excited to showcase all the new things that we came out with through 2024 and new tools to help you build your business in 2025. With that being said, the with that being said, one of the things we're most proud of and excited about is we now have released what we call Book Anything. And what Book Anything does is it allows you to basically have reservables or experiences. Often in the past, we had different properties that maybe rented ATVs or Jeeps or different experiences, hikes, bear tours, kayaks, different things like that. And they had to use a lot of different units to account for the time period. Well, Book Anything now lets you take those items and account for them in 10 minutes time slots, as little as 10 minutes. So one of the things that it does is now it appears on your booking engine. You can put a custom tab on your booking engine to have experiences, or you can have your book anything rental types on your main page with your other things, whatever you want to do. But the process kind of looks like this. It looks similar to what our rooms or units look like. But when you click, it goes through more of a uh, option where you can now have for that unit multiple types of rental types. You can rent it for an hour, half day, full day, whatever time periods you want to assign to that rentable unit. And then basically people can pick the time that they want to have that unit based on what they want to do in this example. One other thing that we thought of that was particularly mindful is that you can also have a gap length in between your time slots on these units. So, for example, sometimes people have a HEV rental and so they need to have time to refuel it, wash it down before it can be rented again or used, have a safety check. Well, you can have gap length put in on the unit so that basically that's accounted for on the time unit. So basically, hey, I rent this for an hour, but it needs 10 minutes of review before you rent it again. And a system is smart enough to do that. We also can do things such as if you have river rafting, where you can have seats on basically a raft and fulfill that with different types of groups. So, hey, I have a family of four with a family of three, and then an individual to fill up a raft of 8 capacity. You can now do that with our Book Anything module. Super exciting, and we're excited to bring this to you. And we're excited to we released this at our recent academy, and people were super excited, and the feedback has been great. That being said, I'll turn over the next thing to Casey.
Thanks, Nate. So, one of our most requested items for our booking engine to support kind of the modern guest experience is to allow you to upload videos for your rooms or your retail items. So now our booking engine is able to support that if you want to add in a quick video tour of the unit itself, or if you have a really cool experience, you can share almost an ad-like video on that to help encourage guests to book with your property. In addition to that really cool booking engine update, we've also added some additional search filtering options for your booking engine. We understand that each business has slightly different needs for how you want your guests to find the right unit for them. So we added in several different options. Your filtered search now includes the option for you to use amenities, use amenity requirements, and also the option to display that as a pop-up to force your guests to input some amount of information before they can move forward. We also added in unit types for filtering purposes. ResNexus is using unit types more and more, and we heard your feedback that you needed to be able to choose if you were going to show your guests unit types for filtering purposes or not. We also added in some additional items for international support. ResNexus is super excited to have more clients outside of the United States and understand that to support that, our users needed more options for different languages you could offer the booking engine in, different formats for how you're displaying times at your property and to your guests, and additional customizations along those lines to be more in line with the standards in the area where the property is located.
And part of that internationalization is that we actually have partnered with a new ResNexus payment partner, which is Stripe. Um, we have several payment partners that we have, but we wanted to let you know that we now also partner with Stripe. And one of the major reasons is because they do such a great job of supporting international payments, payment types. They do have some hardware, as you can see pictured. But the other thing that Stripe allows us to do and will continue to be developed in the next couple of months is that it allows us to do ACH payment with US banks and international bank payments, as well as regional cards for international, which is something that's heavily required in those markets.
Great. And with some of the expansion into different card processing options, ResNexus has also added in the ability for you to pass along a credit card processing type of fee to your guest. You're able to name that and have that display however you like. You will want to be careful if you're choosing to configure this because in certain geographic locations, you are not legally able to pass along that credit card processing fee to your guests. So just make sure you're checking on local regulations before you set this up. Um, when you create the credit card payment type fee, that will be applied on your booking engine when a credit card is being processed for payment, as well as in the back office when you're manually running those charges or having automatic deposits run. The one exception for this is unfortunately, if you're using Stripe for credit card processing at this time, we don't have the credit card processing fee set up for that quite yet, but that will be coming soon.
And another thing that we're really excited to announce is we've expanded our door lock offering. For those of you who are looking for more of the traditional hotel type cards, which are known as RFID, which is the magnetic strip that you use an encoder to unlock the door. We now support ASA Abloy locks, as you can see here, and that's through our partnership and connection with Seam. If you are interested in learning more about the lock types, you can go ahead and scan that QR code in the bottom left, and you can see the Vision Line ASA Abloy locks that we support. Unlike other ResNexus locks, which we resell, we do not resell ASA Abloy locks. So you would want to reach out to ASA Abloy directly and purchase those locks, but they are compatible with the ResNexus system. For those of you who are new and don't understand what that means, it means that when the guest stays, you can have the you can code their key card to be only active during their stay for this RFID. If you wanted to use our more traditional ResNexus Wi-Fi locks, which are very popular, it means that the last four digits of the guest's phone number is usually used as the passcode while they're a guest on site, and then it resets once they leave.
Great. We added in several additional Airbnb features. In our messaging inbox, we updated some of the filtering and some of the functionality in there to better support the Airbnb messaging functionality that we already had. We made it easier for you to initiate those messages with your guests, made it easier to find and differentiate those messages and determine what you needed to respond to and who else had responded in the past. We also broke out the listing management pages in the back office. It used to be just a couple of really long pages, a lot of information, a little bit overwhelming. We broke that out into smaller bite-sized chunks to make it easier for you as you're setting up the listing and to make it easier for you to find the individual fields that you might need to update on your listing as things change in your business. Another reason that we did this was we were adding in different types of discounts. There are several seasonal discount options with Airbnb that I strongly recommend you check out. It can help encourage guests maybe during your slower season or draw more attention to your property, just different times of the year. We also added in per pet fees previously. We had pet fees. We couldn't really specify how you wanted that to be charged, if it was per day, per stay, number of pets, things like that. We expanded that functionality to make it easier for you to customize that to your individual business needs. And an update for Expedia. Our messaging inbox now also includes your Expedia messages. So similar functionality to your Airbnb messaging, if you're already familiar with that. The Expedia messaging through ResNexus will go through the Expedia messaging platform that you previously had to log into to manage messages with those guests. That'll just automatically go through seamlessly, help you manage things more all in one place. We also added in additional Expedia reservation options. This lets you kind of modify or cancel your Expedia reservations through ResNexus. Any normal Expedia restrictions on those changes do still apply, but the system will automatically check for those for you and only let you take actions that are available to you.
I'll take this one. Um, we also announced last year, basically there's different local what I call traditional GDS options or travel agents. And one of those that launched last year that maybe people weren't aware of that built right to ResNexus was we've had one that was from Europe called Little Travel Europe that brings you longer stay European travelers that speak English, where Tour Mappers is actually a local one in America that connected to us, which is travel agents here in America that want to book you longer stays for your property. And so if you haven't taken a look at them and you're looking to have more, again, they have different benefits, just like Little Travel Europe. Tour Mappers usually provides a longer stay guest that is looking off of the beaten path and looking for a really unique experience. If you want to learn more about them, go ahead and scan that QR code, or you can copy that link into your email just to learn about them. They're fairly new. They started about mid to last year during everybody's peak season. So I don't think people knew about it. So we just wanted to say, hey, this also happened last year.
We made some additional improvements to our grid that we're super excited about. Gave you a lot more customization options. I know a lot of our longer term clients have grown pretty attached to our classic view of the ResNexus grid. So we wanted to make sure that the new grid could feel like home for you. So we gave you the option to adjust some different settings, customize colors, choose if you wanted to display individual days on the grid with our new style, with our nice clean line squares, or if you prefer the classic look, you're able to switch back to those hexagons that you've come to know and love. We also added in some additional easy views for you for retail sales, what you need to deliver, as well as general guest counts, so that you're able to see that directly from your grid. We were pretty busy in all of 2024, so some additional stuff that we worked on. We saw lots of requests to add guest estimated time of arrival on that housekeeping page to help your cleaners know how to prioritize which rooms needed to be cleaned first, versus the rooms that could maybe wait a little longer. We also added in the option for you to include in your emails a retail without pricing tag for vendor emails. This is to kind of address situations where you might not want to notify the vendor of exactly what rate you're selling an item at, but they need to know that it's sold so that they can deliver for you. In our rental owners system, we added in the option for you as the ResNexus client to pass along the information to the owners of your units for tax purposes, if you want to pass that on rather than handling that yourself. We also added in pretty early in 2024 the ability for you to use the reservation search to look for specific license plate numbers. So that way you're able to grab the guest's license plate. Oh, I didn't think this campsite was even occupied, but I see a car there. You're able to search that license plate and figure out who's stayed with you that it belongs to. Additionally, our advanced daily rates page previously just let you know if a unit was open or not available, but didn't really let you see if the units were blocked or if there was a reservation there. So we adjusted the colors there so that you can now see at a glance which units have a reservation in them versus which ones are blocked.
And then we enhanced travel protection for those of you who are not aware. ResNexus allows you, the property, to um, protect itself from last minute cancellations due to illness, weather in the United States, and now cancel for any reason. I'll talk more about that later. But one of the biggest enhancements we did is we used to have travel delay separated from sickness and injury, but now we've combined sickness, injury, and travel delay all into one protection option for you to offer to your guests. One of the benefits of this is now if they have an unexpected flight delay or a flight cancellation and they arrive later, we protect you from that happening and can provide a partial payment or a full refund depending on the situation. We also added last year weather involving rain or snow. I know it was super popular for people with the two terrible hurricanes that hit the United States last year. That affected so many people. I know that there's properties that they offered that, and it really helped their guests and the property because both received a full 100% refund. But if you're not aware what basically adverse weather involving rain does, or snow, basically how that works is basically when the guest arrives on site or up to 24 hours before in the case, or up to 2 days before in the case of a hurricane. But while on site, if the guest experiences 2 hours or to 4 hours of rain, then we provide a partial 50% refund for that day. If it's more than 4 hours raining that day, then we provide 100% refund during the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. A lot of people like this with snow. If there's a snow out or a blizzard that prevents you from traveling to the property due to road closures, then we also provide a partial or full refund depending on whether they're able to make it to the destination. One of the ones that has been the most popular, though, and serves as our adverse weather for countries outside of the United States, is we've offered a cancel for any reason option to our travel protection. This one's highly popular. It literally is, I don't know, I don't want to stay, or I don't like the way that the carpet looks in this place. I'm out of here. So it doesn't matter. Up to 14 days before the reservation, they can cancel for any reason through to 30 days after the departure date and receive a 75% refund. So it's slightly less than the other protection options, which offer up to 100% depending on the conditions. But just know with any travel protection, whatever we pay the guest, we refund to you as well. And one thing to keep in mind with cancel for any reason is that and travel protection is that we automatically cancel the reservation and automatically refund the guest when possible. And then we handle most of the administration service for when they're requesting that refund, so you don't have to. But one of the things that with cancel for any reason, just to be aware of that people have questions on is that we refund the guest 75% of the refund. Therefore, you still have 25% of what they paid. And then we refund you the property 50% because 50% plus 25% equals 75%. So both you and the guest get paid 75% refund. And that is how cancel for any reason works. just to just to show how this works for those of you who are not familiar with travel protection, um, it's an optional service that the guest can either opt in or opt out of at the time of the booking. And this is showing the example of cancel for any reason, but it shows up on your booking engine. When it comes to getting that refund, they just they click on a link that happens on their confirmation email, and then it goes to a booking portal that looks like your booking engine, and they just supply the reason um, for the reason for cancellation, and then our administrative service reviews that and handles that for you. One of the things, for cancel for any reason, they don't even have to really provide any proof. That's why everybody loves it, because it's like, I don't care. I just want to cancel.
All right. One of the new integrations that we are excited to share with everyone is ResNexus is now integrated with PriceLabs. So for those of you that aren't familiar with PriceLabs, it's a super cool revenue management tool that will automatically update your rates based on different market trends. For PriceLabs, you are able to kind of set minimum rates you're comfortable with, maximum rates you're comfortable with, and then it will, at a minimum once a day, automatically send ResNexus an update with the different suggested rates, and we'll apply those for not only your booking engine, but also automatically get them sent out to all of your OTAs. It's a super cool service. They have a lot of different reports that you're able to view in their system that can give you some insight into different trends for your business and in your area. If you're interested in getting started with PriceLabs, I recommend going into ResNexus and looking at our integrations marketplace page. And if you scroll down towards the bottom, we have a revenue manager section there, and click on PriceLabs, and you're able to review a really nice summary of what all their service provides and walks you through the setup process and directs you to the PriceLabs site for where you can get started with them.
And I know for a limited time, if you mentioned that you're connecting or heard of them through ResNexus, they'll potentially provide you with a discount. I don't know what that is at this time, but they've asked us to mention that. Also, if you want to know how PriceLabs works in more detail and how it works, we will be having another webinar that's PriceLabs specific that's coming out in just a couple of weeks. So make sure to check on that. But one of the things that I know of is as the partnership, the strategic partnership manager, this is one of the most requested partnerships that I've received over the last couple of years. And we're pleased to state that we now have that ready for you.
For those of you that aren't quite ready to hand off complete responsibility for your rates to a third party, ResNexus has also added in our own rate optimizer tool. So you can find this on your settings page if you are on Premier Edition, or if you're on a lower edition, you do have the option to, for an additional $5 a month, gain access to this tool. If you'd like a demo of it for your property, just reach out to one of your account reps and they can hop on a call with you and show you exactly what it looks like for you on your property to help you make that decision. This tool is intended to give you really good heat check for how you're doing at your property. It uses data from other ResNexus clients in your area and will show you local, regional, as well as national competitors and let you see how your average rate compares to the industry, as well as let you look at occupancy. I know the picture we've got up on the screen right now isn't showing that high detail view, but if you're interested in more information, you would just switch over to the high detail view. You'd be able to see occupancy and a little bit more information there. After you've kind of checked in, seen how you're doing, you'll also notice that there is a rate suggestion in a lot of cases. Um, that is what ResNexus has researched and feels are good potential suggestions to adjust your rates up or down based on how you're currently trending compared to other businesses in the area. You're able to easily use this tool to then adjust your rates based on the suggestions or refine that further. So you're able to go in, click that adjust rates, and say, ResNexus's suggestion was 10%. I I really think that I could up it 15% and still do well. You're able to adjust this amount, set it to the 15%, and apply the changes. You're able to see a breakdown of different ranges of rates and what it is and what you're updating to before you make a decision. And if anything happens, you apply the changes, you decide, I really don't like that. I want to change it, or I didn't even mean to click that. You're able to go to the rate change history and just back out anything that you had done through Rate Optimizer. We know that this tool could be a little bit sensitive for your property. You don't want every user to have access to change things. You are able to manage access to this page through your advanced staff settings. You're able to control who's able to actually see this page, and separate from that are able to control who actually has the permission to adjust rates using this tool, just to help further protect your business and help make sure you've got the right people doing the right things.
Yeah, and one thing I really like about this report is that I really like that if you have different units, if you're a bed and breakfast, you can see what the hotel price is, but unable to show you on the longer screen. But if you have campgrounds and campsites, they usually have a lower ADR than you, but at least you know in a globalized fashion what are the area options that you are competing against are different types. They might be a different market, but at least it lets you know. The other thing I would say is that this is a option that you can find under settings. If you're on the Premier edition of ResNexus, it is included in that edition. If you are interested in trying out Rate Optimizer, you can always contact your red carpet professional, your hospitality business coach, or general support. And it is available for any edition of ResNexus for $5 a month. So you can check it out. I would like to say that the difference between this and PriceLabs is, imagine PriceLabs is basically full control and I want to automate it and it's dynamic and it's changing every day. Rate Optimizer's purpose is really to answer that question that we get often from all of our properties, which is how am I doing in compared to the market, and take a snapshot at that time on, am I doing okay? Are my rights about where they need to be, or do I need to adjust them? But this is definitely something I don't recommend, that when you do change the rates, it's not something that I would set and forget. I would come back and check this report frequently and see, because again, you have different seasons and different time periods. And this is a little bit more of a manual a version of PriceLabs, whereas PriceLabs is set it and forget it and let it take the wheel and take over and change your prices for it. This is, I want to check to see what it suggests, maybe make a little bit of suggestion. And I can globally adjust everything, but you're going to globally adjust everything for whatever you set into the future. You might want to just manually check and make sure that you're accommodating for different reasons. It will support yield management and everything else and adjust everything on the global fashion. So it is an easier way to globally adjust rates. But again, it's more of a manual approach. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is that in 2024, we did launch our ResNexus marketing services. This is something that many of our clients have requested for a long time. Many of you know that we provide websites to our clients, but then what we've expanded out is if you want us to do your Google ads. So I think everybody's familiar with Google ads, but those are the ads that you would do that show up on a Google search, and pricing that. So we do now offer that as a package as well, which provides you with a personalized ad strategy. We research kind of what you're doing. You get a dedicated manager. They look at what you've done in the past. They come up with a strategy and plan on what ads would be the most effective for you. And then they give you a monthly report and a strategy update. And then we do monthly ad updates because it's dynamic. Our fee to you is $4.99 per month for this. And basically, what we're recommending or requiring is a $500 minimum ad spend for Google. So, just to let you know, about total cost for this would be about $9.99 to your business because you're paying for your Google ads. We're not taking anything off of that. And then our fee to run this for you is $4.99 per month. Also, so that's just Google Ads. If you want, we also have an SEO Essentials package. And what this is there's a lot of technical things with SEO that you might not be aware of, like the alt tags that's on your images, or then there's different ways that search engines such as Google find you, that you have to register your business in certain areas, making sure that those cross-link against social media platforms and different things like that. So a lot of that technical things you can also have us do for you as well. But in addition to fixing those technical things, it also is, if you think of Google Ads as like short term, give me traffic as much as I can as quickly as possible, the SEO Essentials package is more that long tail approach, where basically what we look to do is we look to get your organic search up by providing you great content. So that's why we do a monthly optimized SEO article for you. Again, we report back to how you're doing, and we make sure that you're backlinking. And again, we give you for both of these, we give you detailed reports and updates on how the strategy is performing and what we recommend for changes. Because if you're doing SEO or Google Ads, this is not in general, normally a short-term plan. It's usually a longer-term marketing strategy that you're taking. And then if you want, we also have the ultimate digital marketing, which is if you don't have a website, then you get the Google. Basically, what we can do is we package in the SEO and the Google Ads package and a custom website with a year of hosting included for $14.99 per month. If you want us to do that, the other ones are $6.99 and again $4.99. So this includes everything that I've mentioned before and the website included. So on the ultimate package, just so you know, again, you get that custom website, not a template website, but a custom design website, which is our higher tier website, more custom to you, the SEO Essentials and the Google Ads. This is something that has been requested, and so we now do that. You can also buy them a la carte. If you already have a really good looking website that you want, you could do just SEO Essentials and Google Ads if you want to pair those together, or just do one of them or none of them. Whatever up to you. We just wanted to give you options and let you know that this is a new service that's supported by an entirely new team here at ResNexus, and we've been excited to see the results that they've been able to provide for many of our clients. With that, we're going to go ahead and go to questions. I've been seeing some come in already. For those of you, one of the most frequently asked questions is, will I be able to see this webinar again? And that is yes. We will have a recording of this under our webinars, on our webinars landing page, which is found under education. And like all webinars, if you have any questions about what you've seen today or you want to explore some of those features, we'll answer your questions. But if you want to get started, then I also wanted to provide you with our sales and support contact so that you could reach out to them in general. Or if you're a ResNexus client, you can always go into your settings page and go to your support tab and request a meeting with your red carpet professional or hospitality business coach. So that being said, we'll go ahead and go to questions. But wanted to thank you for your time today, and it's been exciting to share all this new things with you. So, all right. So, couple questions. We'll go back to, I have from Grayson Kirk, for Airbnb reservations, we only get guest name and phone number, no other information, including email. Is there a way to get more of this information in the reservation? I'll let Casey take that one.
Yeah, so Unfortunately, ResNexus is already retrieving all of the data that Airbnb is making available to us for the guest. So we aren't systematically able to get that information. But there is a way for you to log into your Airbnb portal and review that reservation, and it does include some of that additional information for you.
The next one is from Tia Anderson for the key card door locks. Do they always lock when closed, or is there an option for the guest to leave their door unlocked during their stay?
Ooh, that sounds like another one for me. Um, from what I've seen with Asa Abloy, it does look like that door is just going to be locked when it closes. It doesn't look like there's a way for them to leave it unlocked.
I was going to also comment on that, that I've never seen that standard in a hotel that I've ever stayed at, where I can leave that unlocked. That's security, usually concern for the hotels. They're liable if someone enters your room. And so, particularly with the independent boutique hotels I stayed at, that's not something that they're usually interested in. But great question. I have from John, chargeback prevention in areas of 50% cancellation. Many opt out or do not see travel protection due to booking an OTA. I think I understand your question is basically, or I'm going to answer what I think that question is. Um, Travel protection does not go out to OTAs. It's a benefit for your direct booking engine. A lot of OTAs offer their own travel protection. This is a way for you to compete with them. Um, Basically, when there is a high level of cancellation, I think that the cancel for any reason, if I was going to recommend uh, to you to put that on, oftentimes with travel protection, uh, the benefit that many properties see is that it really allows you to enforce your existing policies and win a lot of chargebacks because you can say, hey, they were outside of this window, so this was my policies, and I'm enforcing that. And within the terms of travel protection, we handle that so you don't have to. Hopefully that answers your question. If you have if you want to clarify that a little bit, just type it another question and I'll answer that. And then on John, another one from John, can you only accept reservations with travel protection as an option? And we used to allow that to happen before we had canceled for any reason. We might consider revisiting that, but when we had that as an option, I had one property that used it that way. So, and then to prevent guest confusion, a lot of times what happened is guests would say, I never agreed to that. And so it caused you to have disputes. So we took that away as an option. If you're really interested as that in an option, we found that basically allowing them to opt out was the way to go and prevented friction between you and the guest. And then we have from Dana, uh, I'm I think she's thinking about the rate optimizer is what I'm thinking. This data from the STR report. They don't capture campground data, do they? And on rate optimizer, I would say STR or Smith Travel Research does not capture it. The data that's being used on the rate optimizer report is globalized, anonymized data from other ResNexus properties. I really like that question because outside of the United States, uh, I don't feel that rate optimizer is a good option for those properties yet because we don't have a lot of that ResNexus properties or sufficient number to give you that anonymized data. And we won't show the data if there's too few of people in your area so that we can keep that anonymized. Great question. Is there anything you wanted to add on that, Casey?
Nope, you answered that perfectly.
Okay. Sometimes I know things. Okay, so Um, where do we access the rate optimizer in the back office? Um, kind of like I mentioned before, but Casey, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's under settings. It will not show up. Does it show up as upgrade option yet? I don't think that
It
does.
doesn't right now. You do have to have that enabled. So if you're on Premier Edition, it will already be there. If you are on Essentials or Professional Edition, you won't see that option in your settings quite yet. If you already know you'd like to turn it on, you are able to go from the settings page to the billing information page. It's got some recommendations on there, and you're able to turn on the rate optimizer option from there. If you
Yeah.
have any trouble with that, just reach out to any of us over here at ResNexus, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah. Taylor asked, when will the experience feature be added and how do we add those? I'm assuming you're talking about book anything. And the answer is you can add it now at any time, but you can add it now. I would recommend you call in and talk to your red carpet professional about adding it because it's settings under your existing room types. We are working one polish that we are doing on the system is to make it a little bit easier to first time set that up. If you have existing rooms and units, it's really easy to convert those units into an experience unit, but we want to make it a little bit easier for those of you who are newer to the system and not as familiar with rooms or unit types and how they operate to make that a little bit easier. And that will be coming in the next couple of months. But I would just recommend it just to start off with, I would call in and ask for assistance from support to add that. But it's available right now. You can turn those on right now and do that. But to make sure, because there's so much involved in the rules that you can make for that, I would heavily suggest that you call into support and get help with that. Casey, is there anything I'm missing on that?
Nope.
And I would just say one thing to also keep in mind is that ResNexus pricing is unit based. So if you're one of those older properties that are converting a lot of time slots into one unit, that can really possibly help declutter your grid. But the other thing is if you're trying to add new units and get it done right, again, depending on your price, how we always keep your price the same. But if you add new units, then it does affect the price. Now, with experiences and rentals and different things, they're very affordably priced. I think they vary depending on unit type, but like an experience is typically at this time, I think $1 a unit or something additional per month. So not terrible. Kaylee asked on the 14.99 per month, or is it $14.99 per month? So it is for the ultimate package, it's 14.99 per month because it includes a custom built website, all your Google ads, and your SEO package. So that's per month. And then on the grid customization option, where do we find that?
So that's going to be just from your settings page. There's the calendar and grid settings page option card. You'd want to go in there and you'll see all the different options for customizing those in the different tabs over on the right-hand side of that page.
Okay. And then on the dynamic pricing options, does that take amenities into account? That's from Judy.
So I'm assuming that you're talking about our rate optimizer tool, but our rate optimizer tool doesn't currently take any amenities into account just because you're able to custom enter any amenities that you want to the system. So it'd be pretty hard for us to identify how to take those into account. But if your question is in regards to PriceLabs, they do have options for you to put in different custom amenities on their end, and that will take those amenities into account when they're making rate suggestions for you.
Um, and then I have from John, can you add cancel anytime after they book? So no, they basically there's two times that you can add cancel for any reason, travel protection. That's at the time of booking online or if they call over the phone. The reason why we do that is to protect from fraud. You have people because you could have literally someone, you know, uh, call up, within that 14 days time period, like, I want to add that. Oh, I want to cancel. So there are some protections that we have to protect ourselves and your property from for us to be able to maintain that child protection limited warranty service. We have talked in the future as an enhancement, but I don't have a timeline for this, as allowing a certain time period on the guest portal where if they made a booking that they could add travel protection maybe within a 24-hour period after that, with a lot of rules like it can't be 14 days before the booking, arrival date, la la la. But we are looking into that in the future. Hopefully that answers your question. And then, do you guys publish your roadmap for improvements from Bill? There are a lot of times that I suggest info or improvements, and they say it's in place on the roadmap, but it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah, so we unfortunately aren't able to publish a roadmap for upcoming enhancements to our system. That's simply because sometimes priorities shift based on our user feedback. So sometimes things shift a little bit in priority when we find things that people need a little bit more than others. But you're always welcome to reach out to your support rep or ResNexus in general with your specific request and inquire about, hey, do you have any updates on this? When we're able to give more concrete information about it, we're always happy to provide that to you.
And then someone's asking if they wanted more clarification about ResNexus travel protection. How could they get more info? Answer is just call our support line or the support line that you see here, and we can have people answer that. The other thing is if you decide to turn it on, you can also, or if you're not looking to talk to somebody and you're a ResNexus user, or subscriber, you can go under settings and type in travel protection, and then there's an information page that gives you more information about it and how to sign up for it. And so it gives you a lot more of that information that you're looking for. Let you read the terms and conditions that will be start to appear on your booking engine and in their email when they book and different things. But if you want even more information from that, go ahead and call our support line to see more, but you do have that resource in the back office as well. And then Eric Hawkins asked, how do you add a video to your room or unit?
Yeah, that's a pretty simple process. From your settings page, if you go 2 units into that unit, same place that you upload pictures for it, you're just able in that same exact spot to upload an MP4 file right there, and that'll add it to your unit.
Okay. I have a question about if we've made any updates to Booking.com's tax and non-tax issue. Are you familiar with that one?
I am not familiar with that one off the top of my head, so I'd like to invite you to just reach out to your account reps and give them some additional information so that they can figure out what exactly your concern is so that we can make sure we're addressing that for you.
Okay. And then I have in the Book Anything tool, if there is an events room or sauna that we'd like to set up so the customer can book 1 hour blocks, would we be able to connect it to remote locks or offer guest codes to access the room sauna for their time block? So can you use basically ResNexus locks with a Book Anything unit? I is how I would summarize that.
That is a really great question that I honestly don't know the answer to off the top of my head. I'd have to look into that one a little more. I believe it does, but need to double check on that.
Okay. Then I have another question, which is I'm looking to send scheduled emails about the timing of automatic emails. For example, they're looking to see if we have any plans to send a checkout email the night before departure, like adjust when our automatic email is set up. Is there any options with them? I know they can send a manual one on that, but they were looking to see if there's any other options on that.
Yeah, that is on our schedule a little bit later on, um, but we don't have any immediate plans to expand that. But keep an eye out and should have an update for you on that fairly soon.
Okay. And then From Nate Golick, does Rate Optimizer only help me to set future rates, or does it also show historical performance like the STR report? Basically, I'm looking to compare my results with competitors who didn't adjust their rates. And then basically, I feel this is important if competition has high rates, but they don't perform well and end up with low occupancy. So I'll answer this a little bit and then let Casey answer it. So you can go back in time and see the historical data so that on the rate optimizer, you can go backwards as far as set future rates. Yes, it can help you set future rates. That's one functionality of it. It will set them into the future. That's why I mentioned that it sets them and then you want to check and see if you want to readjust them later because it sets them to that rate to the time period that you say it to adjust. So it's not as dynamic as, say, a PriceLabs option. Is there anything else I missed on that, Casey?
Not really. Right now, the calculations for the suggestions aren't looking at historical data. That's primarily just because it's a brand new feature and we have to have a little bit of data before we can introduce that part of it into those rate suggestion calculations automatically.
And what I meant by historical is you yourself can go back in time. So just to clarify what I meant by historical data. So great question. And then another question we have is, lastly, what about maybe integrating with Zapier? Definitely on the schedule. So we're mindful of it. And yep. Uh, is there a way to not have the from Erica? Is there a way to not have the travel protection fee apply to retail items purchased at the time of booking? So part of travel protection is that it protects everything on the booking, whether it's retail items or not. So at this time, no, there's not a way to separate those out. I'm so someone just makes a comment that to maybe I think what they're suggesting is that guests turn down travel protection from an OTA, and so they want to do it on, with travel protection added to an existing reservation. Again, that would be putting travel protection on an OTA reservation that you received in the back office on that calendar, is what I'm assuming that you're asking. And again, it's not compatible with OTAs at this time. Uh, so for rate optimizers, this is from Eric. So for your new rate optimizer pricing adjustments, not the PriceLabs option, is the pricing based upon our whole place or by unit listing?
So for the averages, that's looking at your whole property. It's looking at the different unit types that you have set up, but it is adjusting them. It's adjusting each individual unit at the end of the day. Not sure if that totally answered it, but
And then from Bo, is there any interest for a counter view on the customer side that shows a unit's cost for each day, especially with dynamic pricing? It may help us book customers on lower price weekends. I'm familiar with this kind of thing for vacation rentals, and that might be something we consider in the future as we continue to make modifications for our vacation rental customers. Great question. Um, in your Uh, Cody asks, in your marketing, is there attribution tracking for ads to confirm that the ads are directly leading to bookings and how to determine how they're performing? Yes, part of what we're doing is that we do attribution tracking for where we can track things. I'm not as familiar with all of the ways that that marketing team does, but if you have any questions, you can call into your sales rep and or you can schedule a meeting with our marketing team and get more information on that. Great questions. Another one with travel protection. If a person cancels, who do they contact? I know they need to upload their reason unless they choose to cancel for any reason option. So with travel protection, it depends on when they're uh, attempting to cancel. If it's outside of 14 days before the reservation, you, the property, handle that and you cancel it. And you handle it as any other reservation. You can refund the travel protection fee or you can keep it for yourself. Either way, we don't collect it. So that's how you handle it. But if it's within the time period for that protection, which I assume your question is, basically what happens is the general process is that the property should direct them to click on the link on their confirmation email. It goes to a booking engine portal that looks like your property, and they type it in, they confirm their name and their phone number, and then they do that. If they have questions after that point and they need to contact someone, then they are able to contact our travel protection administrator service, which is called Worry-Free Bookings. And basically, they can email them or call them and ask them questions, and they help them to do that. Um, Basically, the general thing with travel protection is just really knowing the time frame. Outside of 14 days, I handle it. Inside of 14 days, travel protection handles it. Juan asks, how would the rate optimizer suggest pricing if there are no other ResNexus properties in my market? Would the pricing suggestions be influenced based in other markets, even though they might not behave the same as my market?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question. If there aren't any other ResNexus users in your immediate area, it would default to your state. So if you're in a super localized area where your market is just dramatically different than the rest of your state, um, you might want to pretty closely evaluate the suggestions that are in there.
Yeah. And there's sometimes that rate optimizer will say no, no suggestions available too. So
Yep, there are a couple situations where you might see that, hey, ResNexus, we're not too sure what to suggest to you. There are a couple different things that can cause that. We just don't want to take the chance of giving you a bad suggestion.
yeah. Um, Another question, would the Expedia improvements on the inbox include Verbo reservations as well? So I'm guessing he's asking whether messaging is supported with Verbo.
Unfortunately, not yet. Verbo is still separate enough from Expedia that we have to connect to that separately, but keep your eyes open. You can expect to see that one come through in the near future.
When it comes to book anything, we have the where they're using the contracts option or have the contracts on there. Can contracts be linked to book anything units?
Yeah, so right now, contracts and book anything don't play super nice together. We do have plans to kind of come back to that and fine tune contracts quite a bit, and that will include making it so that it will work effectively with book anything.
Yeah, that's one of the big things on our radar for this year for sure.
Yep.
Um, when I've when I've added units to product services, say kayak rentals, will they appear in the original grid as well?
So that depends on your configuration. It will only appear on your regular daily view of the grid if you've set the option to allow that unit to still be booked daily, in addition to the time periods for your book anything category. If that's disabled, then you would only see those units on your book anything view of the grid and calendar. And that's just a separate tab up at the top of that grid and calendar page.
And then a question from Jenny. So if you do not have the Premier subscription, you're able to add the rate optimizer for $5 a month. That is correct. And then for the Stripe integration, when will the fee option be available? I know you said soon. Do you have a time frame?
Um, I would expect to see that sometime during Q2 of this year.
Okay. Can the key card locks be used? This is from Sandra. Can the key card locks, RFID locks, be used for main entrance as well as the guest room?
Yes, they can be. Yep.
And then would book anything listings add additional cost to your unit-based pricing? Um, maybe. It just depends on how long you've been a ResNexus customer. I would say how our pricing works is you can add units up to, depending on what your lifetime pricing is, you can add units up to a certain point, and then when you keep adding units, then you will get a cost per unit price that adds to it. So one thing that we shifted for ResNexus a while ago is that we no longer do like a tier, like 50 to 100 units is this flat price. It is literally per unit and per unit type. So we've been very specific and very measured with this to help keep prices affordable for our properties. So basically, like a room is priced differently than adding, say, a kayak because the revenue that you can pull in on that is different. Great question. Is there a video available explaining the difference between yield management and rate optimizing? I think rate optimizer is what you mean, and how and when to implement yield management. So we do have a really good video about dynamic pricing and strategic pricing. It's called the webinar is called Strategic Pricing under our webinars. It goes over a lot of different pricing techniques, including yield management. I recommend you check that out on our website page under education under webinars. And the webinar that you want is called Strategic Pricing. As far as on rate optimizer, I'll let Casey explain how those work together.
Um, as far as rate optimizer and yield management working together, um, it's pretty simple. Basically, if you have yield management rules set up, those are still going to apply. We have it set up that way because a lot of our users don't want to frequently, like several times a day, check in with our rate optimization tool. So we did leave it so that those any yield management rules that you set will apply on top of any new rates that you configure using Rate Optimizer.
My staff helped me out. So on the last question, if you want to see that webinar that I'm the question we just answered, if you want to see that webinar, if you go into the chat, you can find a direct link to that webinar. And then last question for now, so get them in. If you have more questions, can the Stripe integration be used for selling events? For example, if we have a candle making class in the front common area and want to make flyers with a QR code or link, would Stripe help with that purpose? We don't, uh, I don't know if
I'll
I
take this
understand.
one.
All right, I'll let you
Um,
take it.
so
So,
our Stripe integration is just another credit card processing option for you. It sounds like if you are looking for a way to sell classes, events, things like that, um, and wanting to be able to have people register for that with a QR code, you might be looking more for like our contactless check-in option that gives you an easy way for guests to scan a QR code, sign in, add additional add-ons to their stay, things like that. If I'm missing the mark on that, feel free to reach out to your account reps and just talk through the details. I'm sure that they can help you come up with a really great solution to be able to offer that to your guests.
yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking too. I was like, well, that sounds like contactless check-in or the guest portal that we have, which is again a great option that many people don't sometimes don't utilize. We find in Europe a lot of them utilize that to especially extend the reservation, sell add-ons, and add classes and stuff like that. So, yeah, great question. Uh, all right. We'll wait for like 20 more seconds, but that's been a lot of questions, and you guys have been a great group. If there's no more questions, then I just wanted to say have a great rest of your week, and thanks for attending this webinar.